we're going to go down a little bit now. We just talked about how amazing it was at the time, but our reactions when Sega cancelled the Dreamcast. So, as we all know, the Dreamcast was sadly cancelled. I think it was in 2001. It was actually officially announced by Sega that they were cancelling the Dreamcast. I did actually have the date up on my screen earlier, and now I've just lost it. But yeah, they came out and they said it's going to be cancelled. What were you guys' thoughts? So, Chris, what was your reaction? What did you think? Yeah.
Well, obviously, I was really upset. I can't remember how I found out about it. It must have been, Sega. It must have been after Sega issued the press release, and then sites just started covering, like IGN and stuff like that. Probably came out with the news. But I got so angry. I got so mad that I was like, you know what? I'm going right now, and I'm taking all of my Dreamcast stuff to GameStop. I traded it all in, and I already had a PS2 at the time, and I think I just bought a bunch of PS2 games with it. I was so mad. I was just like, I'm done.
Wow.
Like, I can't believe Sega's doing this. Like, I'm just completely done with it. Like, I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. Of course, I regret that years later. I wish I would have kept all that stuff, especially for like PS2 games. But I just, man, I didn't know what to do because I'm sitting here. I was running a Dreamcast fan site, Dreamcasters Realm. Graham and I were working on that together. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden, like, I find out that, okay, well, Sega's going away from this. And now, like, what am I even supposed to do with this website anymore? And so I think that's really what got Graham and I talking about, like, okay, well, we're going to have to come up with another idea because there's not going to be any more Dreamcast games. So we just can't just cover Dreamcast. So maybe we'll just cover everything Sega. And we came up with the name Sega Nerds. And that's basically how Sega Nerds came about, is because of this whole event. And so I guess I was pissed off at first, but some really good stuff came out of it for us personally, I guess, on the website and everything. But yeah, man, that was rough times in the old Powell household.
I think Sega Nerds was the silver lining in the Dreamcast discontinuation, but I think a lot of fans out there would probably rather have the Dreamcast be successful. Yeah.
I'll tell you that I would choose to have the Dreamcast continue over any of our things that we've done.
Oh yeah, Scotty, like, what were you feeling at the time?
I don't remember even being fazed by it. I know this is going to surprise some people, but I don't even remember reading about the announcement or anything. I think this was, again, my life was kind of easing. My life was kind of easing out of video games and more into music and learning instruments. So it wasn't a huge factor to me, which is weird to hear me say. But I remember hearing along with that Sega was going to go third party, and certain series were going to go to certain consoles. So all I heard in my dumb high school mind was Nintendo's console is going to get Sonic. And it was also announced that Nintendo's console is going to get the canon Resident Evil games. So the next numeric Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 4, will be on GameCube and nowhere else. Well, yeah, that's the biggest lie Capcom ever told, as we see now in today's age. But and then also Smash Brothers was going to the next Nintendo console. So in my head, I was like, well, duh, Sega's not dead. I need my Sonic game, so I'll just go to GameCube. And like the other things didn't interest me. For some reason in my mind, this was also when I think I was angrier. I think I was angrier about Microsoft saying that they're doing a console. Because I was like, I don't know. I was more PO'd that, like, Microsoft is entering the console wars. I don't want Microsoft making a system. I remember being upset about that and thinking, like, I'll go to Nintendo because they got Sonic and they got other stuff they've announced that Sega will be helping them out with. And so it was weird because I was just at a different point in my life that games weren't as important, and instead I was into music. So I do remember my buddy who I convinced into getting a Dreamcast was upset with me. I was like, I'm sorry, dude. Doesn't mean it's a bad console, but I didn't tell you it'd last forever. But it's crazy and weird. And I don't know. I think it honestly makes it more powerful in the fan community than had it lasted longer. But it was not as dark times for me as a Sega fan, I guess, as some people would be led to believe.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. I think for me, the one word that comes into my head is gutted. I was just like at school. Back in the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo days. I had friends who had Super Nintendos. I had a Mega Drive, but we never had a console war, even though that was known as the console war era. For me, the console war started with the Dreamcast and the PlayStation too. Like at school, we had a few people who had Dreamcasts. Had some people who had PlayStation 2s, but yeah, it's just always that argument of like, oh, PlayStation 2 sucks, no, Dreamcast sucks, sort of thing. And then the day it was announced that Sega was stopping the Dreamcast and putting out, I was just so gutted because basically the PlayStation fans had won. Because like the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, like they sort of came to their final conclusion. You know, their consoles, they got to the end of the era. You could argue one sold more than the other, but it felt like there was no winner as such. You know, there was no like, I've taken you down. Whereas this era was just like, man. So I was like proper bummed. I think I even like wrote on I even wrote it on the Sega forums, like some sort of angry, like, well, screw you guys. Like, why have you done this? Like this, you could do so much better. Journal. Like, you know, like just an angry fanboy rant.
If you could find those old posts, that would be
I'll try. Yeah, there's just some stupid fanboy rant going, oh, you could have done this or you could have done that. You know, me knowing, you know, having a multi-million-dollar business, how that would work. You know.
That's everyone on. You hear that's everybody on Twitter. They all have their own businesses and make everything they complain about, so they totally understand it.
Exactly, yeah. And so I was ahead of the game, really, for that. I was Twitter before Twitter existed. Now, I think a lot of fans must have done this at the time, and I think Sega must have got fed up, you know, angry emails or letters or, you know, social posts going in, forum posts going in.
Social media wasn't where it is now at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was gutted, and for that reason, I did not get a PlayStation 2 either. So I actually opted for... No, I actually held off. I almost did I did something similar to Chris, but I did almost the opposite. I kept my Dreamcast and was like, I'm not buying any more consoles. This is my last console. That's it.
Video games are over.
Basically, it was effectively that. And then eventually my friend convinced me to get a GameCube, and I bought a few games for that. And then I played Halo at my friend's house on the Xbox. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best first-person shooter I've ever played in my life.
I've never had this feeling in my pants. And
that was probably the day. And then I saw that they had Panzer Dragoon Auto on there, and they had some other great Sega games. And I was just like, oh man, like Headhunter 2 was on there. I was like, what am I doing? I need to get an Xbox. So yeah, I got an Xbox for those reasons. I got a GameCube similar for you. Like I saw there's some good games, but I also saw Sega games on there. So I was like, this is cool. I'm happy with this. Weirdly though, on the GameCube, I only got a couple of Sega games on there. But yeah, that was it. I was just gutted. I was so unhappy. I don't think I cried. I didn't cry or anything. It wasn't that extreme, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just one of those days. It's just like, shit, you know, Sony had won, basically. And it's just man. But yeah, and I feel like a lot of people might have experienced something similar to this, but yeah. Do you guys have any other final thoughts?
I don't want to make light of it, but it was not as directly affecting my life as video games might have another time, or even more so now. So it's crazy, but also at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. Just where things were and everything, and I'm going to say it every freaking podcast, I guess. Read Console Wars, and you'll understand how they got to that point, essentially.
Yeah,
and it's kind of a phenomenon that the Dreamcast even happened, to be honest, just based on where they were going into that. So, it's crazy. It's so nuts. What's even crazier, and everyone should watch the movie Josie and the Pussycats. The Dreamcast and Sega is all over that movie. And it's weird to think that Sega thought at one point it's stronger than ever. Yeah, but that movie also plays on like corporate Big Brother and sponsorships and stuff like Josie and the Pussycats is kind of just an movie in general.
House of the Dead. Remember that Uwe Boll movie?
No, I forgot about that. Tell me about. I've never heard about that one, Chris. What's that?
I got a YouTube link I can send you later.
Oh, good. Famous last words. I think if anything, it made the Sega fan base stronger. if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. Yeah, especially the Dreamcast fan base. I think it did. Yeah, I think you touched on it. It wouldn't have been the same had it continued on for a few more years or what have you. Yeah.
It's just nuts. It's so crazy to think about all the what ifs, and it really was so short lived. And unfortunately, that's why it's hard to collect the physical games as well, because the tail end releases are so stupid expensive. But hey,